Hello and welcome to Netflix vs. Cinema, the podcast that goes to the cinema every week, sees a couple of things, rates them out of 5, stays at home, sees a couple of things on Netflix and various streaming platforms, rates them out of 5, puts them up against each other and sees where our money has been better spent this week. My name is Tosin and I am the host of this rusty ship. Based up in the middle of the UK is a place called Bromsgrove, and joining me as always on the Isle of Wight is Sean Harris.
Hello.
And joining me or joining us from London, our London correspondent is Holly Neslane.
Hello.
There, yes, when she's not hanging out in screenings with luminaries like Mark Kermode.
Bit of a jet setter, eh? Yeah.
Yes, and randomly bumping into people around, just randomly on the streets. That's what I've built up in my head that you do, Holly.
Love it.
As you're walking around Brentford, I'm just sort of like you're just bumping into people, Premier League stars and everything like that. Because
the reality was so glamorous.
Excellent.
All right, cool. So we do not have that much time this week, so we are going to try and dive in as quickly as possible. And let's go with what we've seen at the cinema. I'll start. Nothing. You guys go. What have you seen at the cinema?
Wow, yeah, I've seen Heretic, Juror 2, and Venom number 3, The Last
Dance.
That's the one.
Venom,
and
the last.
I too, but in the other order, have seen Venom, Heretic, and Juror number 2.
Okay, good stuff. So we have one of those weeks where we're going to have more than one opinion on what we have seen in the cinema. And I have seen. How about at home? What have you guys seen? Anything that?
I can't think of anything, to be honest. I have seen stuff, but I can't think of anything. So.
Okay, I've seen something on. This was on Netflix called Confess Fletch with John Hamm, which is kind of. Like, do you remember, Sean? You remember the Fletch series with Chevy Chase from the 80s?
I remember the film. Yeah, I'm aware. There was a couple of movies, weren't there? Fletch?
Yeah, there were two. There was Fletch and Fletch Lives.
I don't think I ever saw him, to be honest.
All right. Well, this is the same character as the Chevy Chase character, but it's based on the book, so it's John Hamm in there. I saw that, and I saw a film that I randomly came across last night while I was trying to avoid what was happening in America, and. I was trying to avoid what was happening in America and also sort of like put a child to sleep. And I saw a film with such a random title, I keep forgetting what it is. But it is honestly a Landscape by Invisible Hand.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
Landscape by Invisible Hand. I keep forgetting what the title is. I think that was a marketer's nightmare because no one was going to remember that title. But I saw that film on Prime Video, mostly because they said it was going to leave soon, and I was like, you know what? I'm never going to remember that film. I need to watch it now. How about you guys? What have you seen at home? Holly, what have you seen?
I have seen Agatha All Along.
Oh, yes, I have seen that.
And I have seen Cardo Lake.
Oh, yes, that was okay. I promise I will watch that and we'll talk about that next week. I will watch that and jump in with you on that one next week. So let's go Agatha All Along. But let us kick off. So, Sean, let's see. Pick a film that you want to start with that you saw in the cinema this week.
Well, why don't we start with Heretic?
Okay, cool. Let's start with Heretic.
Start with Heretic.
Okay. Yes. So, okay, Sean, do you want to do the...
I don't mind, yeah.
Okay, cool. Go for it, Sean. You go for it.
Okay. So this is a story that's basically, there's a couple of young Mormon missionaries, couple of young girls that they're going around to see different people. They've got some people they want to see, and they go to this house to see this gentleman played by Hugh Grant, who says he's just really, really pleasant, and come on in. I mean, it's in the trailer. Well, we can't. She goes, oh, my wife's making blueberry pie. Anyway, they go in. And stuff happens. So yeah, there's a very. He starts. He says, "Oh yeah, I'm really interested in theology." And he comes up, and I really enjoyed this analogy, which was with. He says, "Right, there's the Torah, there's the Bible, there's the
Quran.
Your Quran, that's it. Oh, right. Oh, so yeah, and he goes on about, explains it, and he compares it to board games, which I thought was quite interesting. Anyway, we better not do that because that might be a spoiler. So they go into the house, and then he starts these discussions about faith, and so yeah. I mean, I don't know, Holly, what do you want to add? Because you know me, I'm just raring to go on what I thought. But so if you want to bring me down,
so it's so the the fundamental premise is that he has, sort of lured them both to his house and then into his house consciously in as a way to
essentially
inspire.
as a way to do horror movie stuff.
To do horror movie stuff around the structure of faith and belief, in Utah, in winter,
Yes.
in all sorts of
Yeah, well, it is like, okay, so I haven't seen this film. I've seen the trailer, and this trailer made me think of a film called Don't Breathe, where, like, three people try and rob a house, and it turns out there's this blind guy in there, and then they get locked in the house and they can't leave, and then he starts doing horror movie stuff to them. And I figured that this made me feel like that, but just this time the premise is theology. And it looks like essentially the trailer for this made it look like a cross between Don't Breathe and Saw. Because because it looked like this guy was going to play games with them, and you're going to have like freaked out women and everything like that, and there's probably going to be some close-ups of her face at some point in the film. That's the kind of film that it looked like, and it looks like Hugh Grant having the absolute time of his life.
Yeah, that's it. This is like it's sort of, I mean, so a horror film, but for the first, let's say the first half of it, it's just sort of discussions. It's just theological discussions about, and he mentions the bit about, polygamy with the Mormons that was taken out. How convenient that it was taken out in the 1850s or whatever, because they wanted more people to join. And it's basically saying that religion is a form of control. So he's saying that it's control, and he's basically says, if you want to see something, I'll show you the religion. I've found the what I think is the real religion. I've studied it for thousands of years, and I found this, and then he's got these doors to choose from, which you want to go down or whatever.
And I'm guessing anything further than that goes into spoiler territory.
Yes, it does really. It does really go into spoiler territory. So pretty much.
So what did you guys think?
I mean, I had a couple of. I don't know. Well, it's difficult. It's difficult. It's a difficult one to call, this one, because I did find, I mean, all that, sort of religiously type thing, I find really, really interesting. Where there's like thousands of and I found that part quite interesting. And then it sort of, I don't know. I don't think I particularly liked the last bit too much. It was a difficult one to call. It was a difficult one to call. I mean, I don't know what Holly thought, but
well, the thing is that I feel like it's just such a good premise, and the thing I've started realizing is that it's very difficult to end a good premise. Because the premise, the setup, that's the juice, and trying to finish it is a difficult thing to do. But sorry, Holly, you've actually seen the film.
Yeah, so I really liked it. As you guys know, I come from quite a religious but religiously diverse family, and I would say quite well informed about such things. So that made it interesting from a level of personal information that I already possessed.
Yeah,
I thought Hugh Grant was fantastic. He has evolved so much over the years as an actor. Long since gone are the floppy-haired Notting Hill days, and yet clearly having the time of his life. It is I found it a very well constructed film. It led to a lot of interesting sort of questions, discussions. It's, as Shaun says, the first half is really the sort of the build up, and it does an amazing job of this looming sense of horror.
I think the thing is that Hugh Grant is really good at sort of like someone you wouldn't want, like if you were meeting him, you think, oh, I don't really want to offend him. He was really, really good at playing to both sides, like being real creepy and thing, but then almost like, oh wow, we get the blue, and you could see him. And I thought the other two girls were pretty good, actually. To be fair,
because I guess I don't know what this is pretty much a three-hander.
But they did
Yeah.
they did do a good job of sort of starting off being quite optimistic, and then sort of, nah, this guy's just not something. There's something not right. Yeah.
Okay,
So,
cool. We're gonna try and respect that,
yeah, we
respect
are.
the Oscar fanfare today. So, how many stars would you give that?
For me, I'd give it a high 3.
All right.
I'm going 5. I
Holly's got the
loved it.
5 paddle out again.
I've
Well
got
done,
the
Molly.
paddle out.
I mean,
I absolutely loved it.
I totally
Oh.
agree with a lot of the stuff you said. I do
Oh.
agree with, like, it was well acted, well constructed.
Holly is the reverse of whatever Crave Revel Hallward is. So, or Simon Cowell, shall we say? All right, cool. So now we go on to Netflix and Friends, and we go to Disney Plus, and we're going to talk Agatha All Along. Holly, if you please, give us a premise of what Agatha All Along is.
I'll start it, and then you will need to cut in.
I will cut in, but first I'm going to go get something out of a baby's mouth.
Okay, that seems reasonable. You need to start the timer. Apparently, he's not started the timer.
Okay.
So, premise is Agatha Harkness is a character from the Marvel cinematic universe, who is a witch of many, many years' provenance. And it's you haven't started the timer, Toes.
Yes, I know. I heard. Agatha
so,
Harkness, Cinematic Universe, yes.
Yes, witch of some age, and she was last seen in
WandaVision.
Vision.
Yes.
And at the end of WandaVision, without giving away too much about WandaVision, she finds herself spellbound and not really knowing who she is.
Yes.
And she is pottering around, happily living her, not real life as a police officer. When
because when the show starts, it starts off being called Agatha of Eastview.
Oh, right.
No, sorry, Agatha of Westview. They live in Westview. Agatha of Westview, like sort of mayor of East Town, that kind of thing.
And she is hanging around, being her very much not magical self.
Yeah.
And a young man turns up and says, "I need your help. You are Agatha." As all of this is in the trailer.
Yeah.
I need your help to find. I need you to take me to the Witch's Road.
Yes. So essentially, a young man shows up who they only ever refer to as Teen. So, and in classic Marvel fashion, you know that this means that whenever they show up and they're like, "Oh, this person, well, we're not going to reveal their name for story reasons and everything like that," you know that there's going to be something, there's going to be a whole bunch of speculation, and at some point they're going to reveal who this person actually is, and it's going to be. Sure enough, it's somebody from the comics that people who go into the deep will know. Those who have like a bit of a surface level thing, like I did before the MCU started, probably wouldn't know who this character is. But yeah, a young man comes along saying, "I want you to go into this thing called the Witch's Road because you're the only person who's rumored to ever have survived the Witch's Road." And the idea is, it's almost kind of like a yellow brick road kind of thing. At the end of the Witch's Road, you get what your heart desires. So yeah, and I don't think it's a spoiler to say that Agatha very quickly remembers who she is because of events that have happened somewhere else in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And if you've been keeping up to date, you will know what that event is. She very quickly remembers who she is, but she finds that she has no power, and then she's convinced to get onto the Witch's Road to go get her power back. But she has to build a coven, and because she hates other witches, she hates being around other witches, she has to go build a coven of all this motley crew of other witches to put together, and then they get onto the Witch's Road. And sure enough, this comes from WandaVision, and I think at the beginning they make it look as if they're going to do what WandaVision did, where WandaVision had like a different genre of comedy, sitcom each week. They don't quite do that, but every single episode of this hints at a different genre of TV. Like, they have all these different trials they have to do when they're on the road. And the first trial that they have to do is Big Little Lies. And they reference Big Little Lies in it.
Right.
Then there's a bit where they end up, one of the trials is pretty much an 80s camp horror movie. Another one of them is like, they end up in like a recording studio, and they look like the 70s type sort of what they call Fleetwood Mac type band.
Yeah.
And it's just sort of like, goes through all these different things, and it's episodic in that, okay, what is the trial we have to do this week? What's the thing we have to do this week? What's the thing we have to do this week? So all in all, I thought it was all right. I thought this was all right. I personally didn't like where it ended, and I didn't like how because the way it ended, you're like, wait, so, oh no, because
how many episodes in this, Toes?
10.
Was it 10?
Yeah.
It was that many episodes?
Yeah.
Okay, and it did not feel like 10. It didn't. I think they all
The
happened
last two were, it might have been 9. The last 2 were released together.
Okay. All right. Well, it seemed to fly by. It really did seem to fly by. So, but I think if you watched WandaVision and if you've been watching the MCU, I would say go ahead and watch this. I don't think it's essential. They end it in a way that is kind of like, ooh, well, how's this going to lead on to the next thing in the MCU? And I'm beginning to hate that. I am really beginning to hate that. I'm like, just tell the story and end the story, damn it. But it's kind of like, yeah, it handled, the characters still be here. We'll come back and see them later. I personally would give it a 3. Holly, I don't know about you.
My views are very similar. I enjoyed watching it, but I found it a little bit frustrating. I like part of how it closed out. Some of the conclusions I thought were great and really interesting, but exactly the same as well. It's just like sometimes you can tell a story and you can stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not everything, and this is my irritation about so much TV. Is it's okay to do one series.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't need to be leading us breadcrumbs to another series. Just stop sometimes.
Yeah.
If that's good, one is good enough.
Yeah. Oh, and with 30 seconds, I love Catherine Hahn, who plays Agatha. I absolutely love Catherine Hahn.
Yeah, it's the same one who's in the Scarlet Witch one.
Yeah. She is brilliant. Catherine Hahn is brilliant. However, there's a bit towards the end where I thought her performance was getting really pantomimey with no explanation whatsoever.
Oh, okay.
Like I think the performance changes at some point, and I don't know why, and I didn't quite like that. So okay, anyway, we're gonna stick to time. That's 3 stars. Did you say 3, Holly?
From me as well.
Yeah, 3 stars for Agatha all along, and it's so yeah. I think all in all, it was a little bit of. It could have been more fun. Now let's go back to cinema. I think we're going to do 2 cinema back to back just to make sure that we get Shaun out of here on time. Now let's do Juror number 2. Juror number 2. Holly, Shaun, you want to tell us what was this all about?
Okay, so what we have here is like a man's been picked to be on jury service, and he's okay with it all and all that, and then he decides when he gets picked, it turns out that this incident had happened that he was probably involved in. Because they all start to get challenged. First of all, they're like jurors. This is
the sort of American selection process of who gets on the jury.
We'll have you. And so he's like, he thinks, this could have been something I've been involved in. And he doesn't say anything at the time, but when it comes to when the trial, so they go through the trial, and then when they're in the jury room, he's like, wow, we need to. Think. And he's got a little bit of a guilt complex. He's starting to feel guilty himself, because and you have these few flashbacks about the incident that happened, and maybe it was him and not the chap that
the defendant
that's being accused. So, and then it's a bit like 12 Angry Men, where Henry Fonda changed. So it sort of runs along them lines, but with a bit of a twist, and I thought this was quite well acted, actually. Nicholas Hoult, I was quite surprised because I always remember him in Mad Max Fury Road and a few other things. So this was a bit off not his normal bag, I don't think, unless I can think of anything else. But I don't know how realistic it would be. I've no idea really, because I don't know much about the court thing in America. But that was a lot to do with it, and there was quite a lot when the jurors are discussing. Oh, wow, this could have happened. They go, and you get the ones know he's guilty. I know his sort. I know his sort. The real ones that are staunch. They're not going to change their minds. They're spot on. And so basically, they're still
Yeah,
deliberating over a few days, and they say we want to go to the scene, and
yeah.
there's a policeman in there, and they said you shouldn't be on it. Who's one of the panel on the one of the jurors, and he says, oh no, he agrees that he could probably not be guilty. He says no, this is not right, and of course, Nicholas Hoult character is like, oh dear, I better. So he follows the policeman. The policeman spots him. Obviously, he's like, but anyway, there's
So yeah,
stuff happens, and
I mean, the fundamentals of premise is that Nicholas Hoult is married with a very heavily pregnant wife,
yep.
who has a high risk pregnancy and has a complicated past of his own, and he realizes that it might be his fault, the not
Not
the
the
guy
defendant.
who's on trial, and he is balancing his desire to do the right thing by the defendant, another complicated person with a past, and the right thing by his wife and unborn child, and has a sort of moral battle in trying to do what's right,
yeah,
but
it's a
not
moral battle, isn't it? Really.
jeopardize his own life. And at the same time, you've got the case being prosecuted by my mind then immediately goes blank, and I can't think what her name is.
Oh, you keep going. I'll find her.
What's her name? Who is superb and is running to be district attorney. And
Everything you're saying is making me think Sarah Paulson, but
it's not. It's not. It's thingy.
Tony Collette.
Thank you, Tony Collette,
Yeah.
who is who was running to be district attorney, and her career is obviously hangs on this successful conviction. And Chris Messina is the plays the
Prosecutor.
defense. No,
Oh, no,
defense.
defense. Okay.
And it's much of it is the unfolding of what actually happened, and the what should happen, and what is a good outcome. Clint Eastwood directed.
Yep.
He's 92. It's probably going to be the last film he directs, probably.
Is it a good swan song? What did you guys think?
I really liked it.
I thought it was. I thought it was. Yeah, it was all right. I thought it was okay. I didn't dislike this film, but I thought it was. I don't know. I don't know the believability of it because I don't know enough about it. But I
Sure,
suppose
sure. The way you were talking, you had the air of somebody who you're like, this reminds me of better films.
yeah. It does remind me of better films. Yeah. I mean, I quite liked that 12 Angry Men and
Yeah, because the first bit it sounds very 12 Angry Men. Like the
Yes,
whole jurors trying to figure out whether he is vacillating between is he guilty, is he innocent, that kind of stuff. That all sounds very 12 Angry Men.
turn it on his head. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
All right, cool. But how many stars would you give it?
3 stars.
4 stars.
4 stars.
4
4 stars. So 4 stars. Reverse Craig. Reverse Craig Riverwood says 4 stars. Okay, cool. Let's see. I think. Well, yeah. I guess you are a bit of a Motsi Mabutsi. All right. So they're doing some maths. Stopping the clock. All right. So that's 4 stars for that. What is going on with this? Zoom has stopped working. Stop. Anyway, okay. Well, anyway, while we're trying to figure that out, I'm going to go on to the next thing that we're talking about, which is Confess Fletch. And now this is, I'm pretty sure this was on Netflix. I'm pretty sure I saw this on Netflix. This stars John Hamm. Yes, there's John Hamm with Monsieur Gay Harden doing an accent that I would have thought you were not allowed to do anymore.
Oh,
So the whole idea is that Fletch. So Fletch is this character is in a series of novels that were written. I think they were. Oh, we're going to go back to cinema when we. Never mind. Don't worry, Sean. We'll get you out.
that's all right. That's all right. That's cool.
Yeah.
You go. Fire
Yeah.
away.
So yeah. It was based on a series of novels. Two of them got turned into films, which were starring Chevy Chase in the 80s. And the ones that were starring Chevy Chase, they were a lot broader. They were very Chevy Chase at the height of his powers. So they were goofy. A big thing about his version of Fletch was that Fletch constantly keeps wearing different disguises to infiltrate a church and all that kind of stuff. They toned that down. So this is a lot more sort of like, shall I say, realistic than that, where he's an investigative journalist. And the idea is that he's a very good investigative journalist who and he's broken a couple of cases, so people sort of like travel him around the world to sort of like solve their cases. He happens to be in Italy, or he's been taken to Italy to find somebody who's disappeared, to find a count who's disappeared, and he ends up in a relationship with the count's daughter. And when he ends up in a relationship with the count's daughter because he's John Hamm. So pretty much. And so through machinations at the beginning of this film, you see him get into Chicago. Was it Boston? I think it was Boston. And he sort of checks into this Airbnb that he's going into. He goes into the house, walks down to the basement, and when he gets to the basement, there's a dead body there. There's a dead woman, and he seems totally unflustered by this. He just calls the police, and he goes, "Yeah, there's a dead body here." And the police were like, "Oh, we think it was you." He was like, "Well, I don't see how that could be." and so the whole thing goes on where you start off this thing where he's walking around doing his investigative reportery thing, and the idea is that he's shown as quite a sort of suave character, and whenever he meets somebody, and where in the Chevy Chase one he would always put on like a disguise to sort of. Here, they show that he's just like a really, really quick thinker, and he comes up with like, a backstory for who he is, and comes up with a backstory for who he is and a name and everything like that, just off the cuff and all that. And he uses that to sort of figure out what's happening, because the main thing is we're trying to find some paintings that are worth millions of pounds or millions of dollars that have been stolen. And it's just like a whodunit. But you have John Hamm being like, the linchpin that holds this whole thing together. And then you have all these weird characters that show up. So as it's an Italian thing, you have the woman who he's in a relationship with is played by an Italian actress. But Marcia Gay Harden plays the Count's new wife. And so she shows up doing a very overblown Italian caricature, shall we say?
Mia.
Exactly, Sean. Yeah. Exactly. Fletch, why you say that? Fletch, oh, come here, Fletch. Okay, Fletch, it's okay. I sleep with you, Fletch. And it's like, I'm like, essentially, it made me have to go and Google if Marcia Gay Harden has any Italian ancestry, because if she does, then okay, maybe yes. If she doesn't, it's a bit broad, it's a bit that, but it's like a whodunit. It's like the kind of sort of mystery film, a bit like 48 Hours. 48 Hours.
Oh, right. Oh yeah. I know
so,
that sort of
that they don't really make that much anymore. So it's just nice, simple. It's just kind of okay. Let's go from A to B and let's figure out what the plan is. Cal MacLachlan shows up being weird. You'll be surprised to hear.
That's a
new characteristic.
Yeah, I know. Cal MacLachlan shows up being weird. Marcia Gay Harden shows up being weird. A lot of the different people who show up in the film are just showing up and they're just being weird. And John Hamm's just being like suave and going through the film and everything. And it sort of trips along. It trips along. It's a film that you might forget you've watched after you watched it or anything like that. But while you're watching it, you will have a good time with it. So I would give this a 4 out of 5. I think they probably were hoping that it would kick off another franchise. I don't think it's going to do that. But I think it's a good thing, and I think the reason why it's called Confess Fletch is because in this particular thing, he is a suspect, and the police keep trying to get him to confess, to say that you did this thing, and he's kind of and there's bits of it where he keeps like fooling the police and everything. I'll tell you what, and it's you remember Beverly Hills Cop?
I remember Beverly Hills Cop. Yeah.
Remember that there's a bit in Beverly Hills Cop where Taggart and Rosewood are chasing Axel Foley around, and then he ends up like putting like bananas in their tailpipe to sort of like get them off his tail while he's running around Beverly Hills. there is a lot of that kind of DNA of that scene in this, with the police chasing him around and him just constantly trying to lose them so that he can solve the case himself. So I think it's quite good. I don't think that they make films like this much like that. You don't see a lot of this sort of films anymore. I think it had its heyday in the 70s. But I would give this, I'll give this a 4 out of 5. And now we go back to cinema and we go to Venom, The Last Dance. So, Holly, shall you tell us about Venom, The Last Dance? This is the third Venom movie. I'm not sure how much more we need to know.
No.
But see what you can tell us.
It is the third Venom movie. Brief background for anybody who doesn't know Venom. Venom is a film about an alien that is a symbiote that merges with Tom Hardy's character called Eddie.
Yep.
In 2 films earlier. And they initially, this is not a positive experience, but then they end up becoming firm friends. Venom likes to eat people, particularly their brains. He and Eddie have an agreement that he can eat the brains of bad guys, but not random people. This is the closing out part where the enemy of the symbiotes is seeking to escape from where he has been imprisoned, and the key to escaping from it has something to do with Venom and Eddie. And lo, in an attempt to capture them, all hell breaks loose, madness ensues, traveling around the world.
Okay.
Happens.
Yes. Yeah, but okay. So Holly, I would say
ridiculousness takes place.
Holly, I would say valiant attempt to give some sense of respect to the plot. But let's bear in mind that this is a Sony movie. This is a Sony movie of a Spider-Man character with no Spider-Man. These films do not have a good track record, and these films do not require a plot. So
it has lovely elements along the way of things that could be plot.
Okay.
There is a delightful section with a bizarre couple and their children and their dog who are heading to Area 51 to try to find aliens.
Yep.
And there are needs to move between places. That's got some plot elements to it, and Juno Temple's in it, and
she's lost a lot of weight. Juno Temple, blimey, she was like skinny as a little rake in this one.
Yeah,
I'm surprised. I thought I had to keep taking a second look and thinking.
Yeah, I had to check it was her afterwards.
Yeah.
Juno Temple.
I know, really, quite gaunt actually.
Yeah.
All right. Well, even compared to Ted Lasso.
Not watched Ted Lasso.
Oh no.
Okay, cool. All right, cool.
Anyway,
it's a surprisingly good cast. I mean, it's genuinely a really good cast.
Yeah, but that's always.
What are you doing here?
But that's always been the thing with the Venom movies. They somehow, I mean, they must cost so much money on the cast because they attract. Well, you have Tom Hardy. The first one had Riz Ahmed. You had Michelle Williams. You had Woody Harrelson in the second one. They have good casts.
They do. With the other 2 Venom ones, for me, I treated them with a bit of antipathy. I sort of they when we watched with So yeah, they're not the best.
Good word, Sean.
Thank you. But funnily enough, this one, I don't know. It's sort of I found this one not to start with. I was like getting a little bit, but it was the last sort of act was I really enjoyed. I thought it was really silly, like Solly says. It was really so. This was like it started off. I thought, oh, this is going to go the same way, and I don't mind the Eddie. I want to do, but Eddie, I did find that a bit. But yeah, the payoff at the end was I mean, the mayhem and the fun, and I did find myself sort of thinking, oh, this is better than I thought it was going to be. This is more. Yeah, fun. I found myself with a sense of fun with it. I don't know about you, Holly, but yeah, it's quite good.
The same.
Probably from about the time they meet the family onwards, it became quite they're like, oh, Eddie, they're like a real new agey type family. They were good, weren't they? The
They
family.
were
Was it Evans? What's his name that played the
um,
dad? Can't remember his name. Well, yeah, I think it was the Welsh actor.
Oh,
yes.
Rhys Ifans.
Risa Fans, yeah. So I
Yeah,
think
Rhys Ifans. Yeah.
he played the dad.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just quite good fun. Especially the end act, especially the last sort of.
Which went on for like a month.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was like, yeah, you were sort of rooting, weren't you? I mean, the funny thing was, you were sort of saying, "Oh, come on, Stimby, come on," you were sort
Yeah.
of rooting for one side, if you like, Like,
Okay. All
so,
right.
yeah, it's fun.
You guys are achieving possibly the impossible and making me think maybe I'll go watch a Venom movie because
For me,
I have been morally opposed to these films and
I
nothing
think
I've
it's the
heard.
best one, which is unusual for number three, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, the start dragged a bit,
Yeah, yeah,
but then when it got its pace,
yeah, yeah.
and it was just a joy to watch.
It was a good fun. Yeah,
It was, yeah, marvelous fun. Was it good? No.
No,
Was it meant to be? No.
but it was still a fun movie.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was what it was meant. It was fun. It was enjoyable. You
Yeah.
got to the end and you thought, you know what, that has been time well spent.
So enjoyable in a way that it seems the other Venom movies have not necessarily been.
Not as much. Not as much.
not as much.
This had better comedy than the others, as some of it was just so mad,
Yeah.
completely balmy.
Okay, cool. Respecting the time, how many stars would we give this one?
I'm going to give this one a 3 again. So I'm pretty.
I am also going to give it a 3.
Yeah.
3 stars for Venom: The Last Dance, which is more than we thought going into it. So,
Indeed.
and finally, a film that I saw, I said on Prime Video. Prime Video, and this is called Landscape by Invisible Hand. And if you're listening to this at some point in the week of the 6th of November, you need to go watch this film quick because it apparently has only 9 days left on Prime Video. And Sean, I think you might like this because bearing in mind that this film, you know how they show you other films that they think, oh, if you're watching this, you might like this film, or this film is a little bit like this.
Yeah.
The films that it was comparing itself to were like being John Malkovich. And I actually think that's actually quite a good sort of comparison of this because this is a combination of a rom-com / alien invasion movie but it is so weird. so weird.
Oh, good. Well, you know me and my weird stuff. I do like weird stuff.
I don't know, Sean. I reckon that this is right up your weird alley. I know you have to head off in a second, but I think this is right up your weird alley. So what I would say is, Sean, if you can, go watch this film because when the film starts, humanity has been there has been an invasion by an alien race called the Vuv. And they have taken over. Yeah, these are aliens, not like you would expect them to look. They are weird looking. They don't speak English. They communicate by rubbing their hands together. It's so weird. They've taken over everything on Earth. They've changed everything that people eat, so people don't eat food anymore. People have to eat this sort of like protein blocks and all that kind of stuff. They have such superior technology. They've taken over the schools so that they go, you're not allowed to learn English and maths anymore. You've got to learn how to speak Vuv. And but what happens is
that's a great word in itself, isn't it?
Vuv. Yeah, Vuv. VUUV. Vuv. And they have these two people who are like they're in school together. The boy meets the girl. The boy obviously likes the girl. The girl says that, look, we've had to lose our house because the Vuv bought off everything around our house, and by the time we sold the house, we could barely afford the gas to move here. We're living in our car. So the boy is like, I think I have and then he invites her and her family to come live with his family. They start going out together, and then they say, let's put these things on our temples, so that the Vuv can see everything that's happening. So essentially, we become a reality TV show for the Vuv. Okay, see you, Sean.
I'm gonna go, guys. Thanks. Have a great week.
Yes, go watch
See you
Landscape.
next time.
Go watch Landscape by Invisible Hand.
I will watch that, and I'll give you my view. That's on.
Yes.
What is it on?
It's on Prime Video.
It's on Prime. I'll get that then. Yeah. I think I like the sound of that. I'll see you guys later. Yeah.
See you later, Sean.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. So they essentially decide to become a reality TV show for the Vuv because the idea is that the Vuv as aliens, they don't have love, they don't procreate like, the way humans do. They just kind of spore, and like they go, okay, it's time to have it, and then they just sort of like replicate themselves. And so because they have these things, this technology they've given humans that they can put onto their temples, they become a reality TV show, and that's the way that they can earn money. So if they get enough viewers, a bit like YouTube, they end up getting money. And because neither of their families have much money, they start sort of live streaming their relationship. And because they live stream their relationship, they get money. They can sort of like keep their families afloat and all that, because there's this weird thing where the VOOV have got these floating cities now, where they've taken and if you're on the floating city, you're doing well, you're rich. If you're on the ground, you're poor. But the guy's an artist, and he keeps drawing all these things to sort of like the film is actually broken into him drawing different aspects of his life and given the different drawing paintings that he gives titles, like, very arty titles, like worst 6 months of my life and all that kind of stuff. And then you go into that bit where you see what inspired him to draw that picture, and this film is weird. This film is weird. It is as to what happens, there's probably some social commentary going on there that was kind of like, okay, there's probably some social commentary, but this is too weird for me to even get what's going on. There's a bit where one of the aliens, because even the design of the aliens, they don't look like anything. Like they're nowhere even near human. There's all this propaganda going on. There's people who've decided to side with the aliens and decided that the best way to get ahead in life is to just, acquiesce to the aliens. There's a bit where you meet a guy who is a neurosurgeon, or he is a neurosurgeon, but he works for the VOOV as a driver. He's like, they don't need to drive. They don't have cars where they come from, but they think that this is chic. So, and I make 5 times being a driver for them as I did what I did as a doctor. And I think that they like the idea that a neurosurgeon is their driver. It's like someone who was like, I cannot understand. I cannot overestimate how weird this film is. and where it goes, where the film goes, because it looks at one point, like for a while it's like a romantic comedy, and then it takes a left turn into something else, and then and you think, okay, cool, maybe it's going to be fight against the aliens, but no, it becomes something else totally, where a VOOV actually kind of adopts a human family because it's been watching sitcoms and decides, ooh, you know what? I want some of that myself. I want to become a human man of the 1950s. And it's like, no, honestly, I think you would like this film. I think I would give this film a 4 out of 5. I think in that sort of like vein, it's a bit like if Charlie Kaufman had written an alien invasion movie. And so I do think that it is weird. It is weird. And I think the performances are great. It has Tiffany Haddish in it. You've got William Jackson Harper show up. Josh Hamilton's in it as well. So it's good. There's some bits of it are bleak. Some bits of it are, and it ends up in this really kind of weird. It's kind of inspirational, but also a bit too weird to be inspirational. kind of feel. So yeah, so I would recommend this film. I'll give it a 4 out of 5. I'll say watch it on Prime Video before it disappears, and God knows, because a film like this, I don't know where it's going to pop up again. I really don't know where it's going to pop up again. It was released last year to little fanfare, but it's a good thing. So if you can remember the title. If you can remember the title, Landscape by Invisible Hand, it is very weird. But I would say go watch it. It is worth your time. And that is us done. So Holly, as my lone person left, all that is left to do is to ask, who has won this week? Netflix or cinema?
I think it's possibly a draw.
Ooh.
Possibly cinema may just win.
It is very close, I'll tell you that. It is very close. Okay, Holly, you and I, we both did chemical engineering for at least a couple of years, and we learned the term negligible. It is very close, so that the difference is possibly negligible. But it's a 3.5 to a 3.6.
I think we can say watch where you will this week then.
Watch where you will this week. Technically speaking, Netflix and Friends have taken it with a 3.6, but and I think looking at what we had in cinemas, it ended up being a better week than we thought it would be.
Yeah, much.
It ended up being...
I am about to be going to watch I have to recheck exactly what it is I'm going to watch, because my memory is shot today. I am literally this evening going to see Small Things Like These.
Oh, the Cillian Murphy movie. Cillian Murphy movie. He's back in Irish mode.
He is.
Okay,
And
cool. Yeah.
this will be film 38 in the cinema this year.
Ooh, well done. Well done.
Yes.
How much are you and Steph aiming for this year?
52. 52 is the goal.
52 is the goal.
What I found on the web.
Go away, Google.
We have a number of. We're booked in for Conclave next week.
Ooh, Conclave. I got like tickets to a special screening of that.
Yes, we've got an early screening as well.
Yeah, I got an early screening for Conclave, yeah.
We're booked in for not quite opening for Wicked. And I think we've got other evenings booked out. Another Sunday. So it's going to take some work, but we'll have 14 to see after today. But let's see if we can do it.
I have moral objections to Wicked. It's half a film.
This is true, but apparently it works well. So
We'll see. I'm much more looking forward to seeing Better Man, the Robbie Williams biopic, where Robbie Williams is played by a chimpanzee.
does look most enjoyable, must be said.
Yes. All right, cool. Until next week, when we will see a combination of those things. Ooh, Bad Monkey. I haven't spoken about Bad Monkey on Apple TV Plus yet.
Oh, you've seen it?
I have seen Bad Monkey. Yes.
Oh, it's on the list.
Okay, I've seen Bad Monkey. It's good that it's on the list. But I'll also go watch the, what do you call that, Caddy Lake?
Cardo Lake.
Caddo Lake. Okay, cool. But until next week, when we watch a combination of all these things, is a goodbye from me.
And a goodbye from me.
And you already heard a goodbye from Shaun. Thank you very much for joining us.